Hey there, Jammers. This is Ryan Bound from the University of Utah. In this video, we're looking at tile sets and sprite sheets. So what's a tile set? Well, in short, it's all the images used to be able to make the game space. To the right is an example of one that's 256 by 256 pixels. Keep in mind that your tile sets should always be in a power of 2. Textures should be square if you want them to tile in every direction. And trim textures are ones that only tile vertically or horizontally. So how do you set up a tileable texture? Well, in Photoshop, you use the offset tool under the filters tab, and you offset it by half of the value of the resolution of your image. We'll demo that in Photoshop together. And then you just fix up the seams. Easier said than done. So here's what the image looked like on the left, and I labeled the corners so you can see what happens when you offset it. It's like it folds in on itself. And then you have a nasty seam in the center, vertically and horizontally, that you need to touch up. In Krita, things are a little bit easier. You just push W for wrap mode, and you start painting. Krita is great for hand-painted textures, and it has an awesome pixelizing filter if you're trying to do some retro graphics. Sprite Sheets. Sprite Sheets is just a really large file where you pack all your images into one, so it only has to load once, and they're really great for animations. In the example of the character that I made, Alma, she's 256 pixels by 256 pixels. I have an idle animation and a crouching animation. Keep in mind that cells are ordered from top to bottom and they read right to left. So in this example, Alma has an idle animation that is 4 frames, and that's cells 1 through 4. And her crouching animation is 2 frames, 5 and 6. 7 and 8 are currently not being used. So this sprite sheet is 1024 pixels by 512. So there's a lot to learn when it comes to tile sets and sprite sheets. So here are 3 great resources that you can get some more information. Let's jump into Photoshop, and first let's look at our making a tile set. So here's that rock texture that I had in the slide deck. Now, if we look at the image size, it's 512 by 512. So we're going to come over here to Filter, Other, Offset, and we're offsetting it by half the resolution in both the horizontal and the vertical. And you can see by doing that, there's the seam. So how do you fix that? I'm just going to try to fix one of these so you can take a look. I'm going to come over here and go to the clone stamp tool. And I'm going to try to find another rock that I can finish this edge with. So maybe I'm going to try this one. So I'm going to hold Alt and I'm going to click. And I'm going to start bringing this up. Okay. There we go. Doesn't look too bad. I can come over here and I can fix up that corner. And there you go. I've finished off that one rock. This takes quite a bit of time. You'd need to go and do this on all the rocks that are on this seam. And vertically and horizontally. So this would take a fair amount of time to do this on this type of texture. Let's jump into Krita. So as I explained in Krita, you just have to push W. If you just start painting like you normally would in Krita, you can see it hits the edge and it's probably not going to tile. There's a hard line here, okay? So let me erase that. And the first thing you're going to do is just push W, and you can see the screen gets really big. And if you just start painting, you can notice as you zoom out, look how it's painting all over the place, okay? So it's tiling for you in real time. So the brush is like duplicating in multiple areas of the canvas, okay? So you can see that would be really helpful if you're going to do some stylized textures. Let's go back into Photoshop and let's take a look at our sprite sheet. So here is Alma. So when you're setting up your animations, what I'd recommend that you do is that you break apart into different layers the parts of the character or the thing that you want to animate. So I have a layer for the head, the dress, the legs, the arms, and the wings. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and turn these back on. And I'll just show you really quickly. If I want to animate the wings, you can see I can just rotate them. I can scale them. I could change their color. I can do all those things on another really quickly because they're just on a completely different layer. Okay. So there we go. We moved her wings a little bit. Just like that. Okay. And then once you have something you like, hit Control A, Control Shift C, which will copy all visible, and then you just paste, and then here it is. It's a unified sprite. Okay. Now you want to be able to pack these sprites into a sprite sheet, like I showed in the slides. So here is this. And what I've done is I've turned on the grid so you can see that each one of these grid boxes is 256 by 256. So I put the sprite in the center of each one of these cells. And here's our idle animations. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And an idle animation would loop. So after 4, it would go back to 1. So you can see the wings come down and her arms go up. And then this is the same position as this. Notice I don't repeat 1 because after 4, it's going to come back to 1. Here's our crouching animation, 5 and 6. And so in Engine, we would export this sprite sheet, and then when the player does a certain action, like crouch, it would play sprites 5 and 6. Or if the player does nothing, it would just go in an endless loop between sprites 1 through 4. Okay? So there's a lot to learn when it comes to tile sets and sprite sheets, jammers. But hopefully this gets things going for you. I can't wait to see what you make at your next game jam.